Well, hello, yes, it's the old Git here again with today, a sad day for a lot of people. I'm here with a critical rant today, a critical rant. You probably already guessed already, because this particular man is on my hit list. He's going to do no good for the country. Well, before I go into a few things that I want to say about him, where I think we're going to go in the future, all of us, let's just remind ourselves of where this man came from. Now, as you all know, up to about 3 weeks ago, he was just a Lord Mayor in Manchester. What did he achieve while he was there? Well, I'm going to tell you, not very many achievements. But let's just go through a few of the things that he has done and where things have gone wrong. Because this man has been a failure at everything he's tried to do. He'll disagree. He'll say, "What about the buses?" He'll think, well, everybody get buses to run. That's about the only thing he's got running for him. And his ideology, well, is in question, which we'll come to a bit later on. But anyway, it's the old Git. There's my socials running along the bottom there. And don't forget, if you want to contribute to me, because it's my 73rd birthday on the 20th of August, so we're getting close, and anything that you'd like to donate, you can go to Rumble and donate it on there, and it's a tip jar or whatever it is they put there. And also, the reason I'm asking, because I want to buy some more up-to-date equipment, because I do this totally on my own, and I've said this so many times before, and I really would not like some more user-friendly equipment. So there you go, I'm looking to buy. But anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Here we go. Right, now, Andy Burnham. I'm going to call him, yes, the debt master. The debt master, yes, because I believe he is. Why am I saying this? Andy Burnham left Greater Manchester Combined Authority with GMCA with a total of 1.34 billion in outstanding borrowing, making it the highest total debt of any combined authority in England. Just think on. That's what he's done. Now, according to official data from the Daily Telegraph, which I think is his friendly newspaper, isn't it now, his go-to, the debt grew from 964 million from when he first took office in 2017. So now he's left Manchester and the new mayor with a debt 1.34 billion, which is basically that's his MO anyway, spend everybody else's money, as all socialists do anyway. Let's break down the total borrowing. It was the 1.34 billion outstanding debt rose 39% since 2017, and that's per capita. Each person who lives in Manchester, that's a debt of 462 per resident, which is the national ranking second highest in per capita in England. So first of all, the man doesn't know, he doesn't mind spending other people's money, but what he's got to realise today, a very sad day, that he's been actually voted in or parachuted in or swerved in to the highest office in the land. He's now the Prime Minister as of from today. So that doesn't say a lot about how he manages money. And I think he's actually admitted himself that he doesn't know much about economics. Now, what else has he been up to? Well, let's have a look, shall we? The whole political career is based on failure, a flip-flopping along with his next, and then along to his next failure. Andy Burnham, most notable controversies are failed projects during his tenure as mayor of Greater Manchester from 2017 to 2036, as you say, centred on housing development and public infrastructure. That's what he centred his ideas on. Is it true? I don't know. Well, let's first go look at housing, shall we? Well, what did he do? Andy Burnham? Oh, well, yes. His administration, Greater Manchester Combined Authority with GMCA it is, faced heavy criticism for relying on flawed analysis. He issued over 700 million in taxpayer-backed loans to private developers like Rennica to build a city skyscraper, which critics actually and tribunals, because they had tribunals, pointed out that it failed to provide a single affordable home at that time. Now, I believe he has since some, but you give a company, you're sort of focusing on affordable homes or homes for people who can't afford to buy one, and they go and build a bloody great skyscraper with the money. Now, that's a lot of money, of taxpayers' money, that did most of the taxpayers, people who pay tax, it did them no good. So there you go. I think that is a big failure. But also, he did more things. For example, and I'm only going through these. There's all many more things if you wanted to do. But I just want to remind you where he's coming from and what his background is. He actually, Burnham had to abandon a legally mandated £100 million clean air zone plan following a massive public backlash. Even after he nearly installed 500 cameras and they'd all been installed across the region. Now, hang on a minute. Well, he didn't do his research very well if he couldn't actually get this thing to work. He installed all these cameras, he bought them all, spent £100 million, and they say, don't matter, okay, we won't do it. But the money's been spent. Again, another failure. And these are just the big ones. I mean, there's others besides. And he also, again, going back to social housing, well, data shows thousands of affordable homes have been delivered in the region. We will say that. Burnham faced persistent political attacks from perceived failures to adequate prioritisation of social housing during his tenure. It's just one of them things, isn't it? He wasn't that interesting. He didn't listen. And he faced tribunals and all sorts of political attacks over the way that he handled that. Now, from this day, and this is where it gets sad for me, from this day, this is the day that the UK starts to decline to possibly become a third world country. And that's what I honestly believe that right now. Don't look a bit purple, I don't care. Anyway, I honestly believe this. And remember the date, the 20th of the 7th, 2026, because I believe that things will never be the same. Now, this video is not going to be long because I am in a real rant mood, because looking back over this man's career, he's never done an honest day's work in his life. He's always worked in some kind of public office. He went to Cambridge on a scholarship. He always drops his feet in where he can make the best for him. Even his marriage, he married well, but I think he married into a very wealthy family. But hey ho, we'd all do a bit of that if we could, I suppose. But I'm not knocking him on his personal life. I won't, and I don't believe any politician should be knocked on their personal life. But it's not that we're just talking about, is it? So today, the 20th of the 7th, 2026, put that date in your diary, because I believe that Britain is now on a further decline. Now, I've always said, and people have started talking about the Fabians most recently, but if you look at my videos, if you look at the last one I did about Fabians 6 months ago, telling everybody that the Fabian plot is they're doing action. 2/3 of the Labour Party are Fabians. Starmer, all his front benchers, all of them were Fabians, and the ideology that they support and follow is, for me, I call it neo-communism. I mean, there's not much difference between socialism and communism anyway, is there really? It's just, how far they go. But I believe the ideology of the Fabians basically is not good for anybody. But anyway, and of course, Andy Burnham has wrote many articles for the Fabians and is a member. So what's happened? I'll tell you what's happened. Old Starmer boy was in there to start things rolling on. And I'm going to come to these things a bit later on. But he's done his job. You might think he hasn't, because he hasn't done a job for you. he's done the job for them. And we'll come to why he's done the job a little bit later in this video. So, at his correspondence to take over Prime Minister Andy Burnham, he has no plan, no mandate, no clue, because Starmer was voted in on his mandate and he has nothing. So he's going to, what the people voted that party in for, he's not going to abide by, and I think that's wrong. So that is one reason, if he's got anything about him, because he called many times for general elections when similar things happened in the Conservative Party, he should stand by his own words and call for a general election, and then we'll see where the country goes. It's fair enough, don't you? It won't happen, of course. Too many people will lose their jobs and they won't let him call the general election. So the king has endorsed him now. He's there today. He's taken over. And of course, he comes in, makes a speech, and he's off now for a month. We won't see him now till September the 1st. Wouldn't you think that there'll be special things going on with the changeover of one Prime Minister to another? Do you think they would not call the Parliament in, the government's in, sorry, and all the MPs to settle this and take a break later on? Not, look, I'm the new Prime Minister. Goodbye, I'm off to Ibiza, or wherever it is he's going to go. Okay? And he will continue the work for the Fabians as Starmer. That's how he's going to transform the UK to the ideology of the Fabians. You think I'm lying? No, I'm not. I mean, he's probably been anointed by them. If you see that thing there, it says, we appoint, let's say we appoint you, Andy Burnham, to carry out the work of our society and totally, what's that? I can't read it, it's too small for me. Anyway, it's sort of a bit tongue-in-cheek, but basically he's going to continue. He follows the ideology just like 2/3 of the Labour Party. And I think all the front bench for Starmer were all Fabians. Anyway, you might think it's conspiracy theory. It's not going to happen. These people, 1884, they were formed. In fact, George Orwell was one of the members, but he left because their ideology, which if you've ever seen their logo, used to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. They wanted to infiltrate and take over and introduce the ideology without war or without rebellion, but by putting people in place to change the ideology from the inside. That's what they do, and it's a slow process. And because George Orwell left because it was too slow for him, I think he wanted something quick. But hey, he left, and that's why the film 1984. It was exactly, I think, 100 years or something like that. After what would it be like after if the Fabians took over? But anyway, if you've not seen the film, it's actually, you can go on to again into my videos on Rumble, and you'll see there's a film there. It's about 1984, and the actual full film's there. And actually, George Orwell's talking about it as well before. So the prelude to it is the real George Orwell talking about the film 1984. You can go watch that, so just scroll back and you'll see. Anyway, so he's going to continue the work of the Fabians, and since the Labour took over, now this is what I mean about Starmer doing his job. They took over officially in July 2024, and critics and civil liberties watchdogs argue that the UK has seen, right, an erosion of freedom of peaceful assembly, freedom of speech, and digital privacy. Now, these are just fundamental things. There's more that would put the Fabians in the frame, because these are the first things they want. They want to criminalise peaceful disruption. Activists face severe penalties, including prison time, for acts of non-violent civil disobedience or causing public nuisance. They're using these laws to arrest anybody that they don't agree with. It's there. I'm not lying. It's there. Freedom of speech, of expression of speech, for example. Crack down on the speech laws. Now, Independent monitors highlight an uptick in the strict enforcement of hate speech and offensive communications across public and digital settings. Now, hang on a minute. We pride ourselves on being the utmost supporters of freedom of speech. People have been arrested and put to prison for things they've put. Ideally, I wouldn't agree with half the things that people put, but then you have the right to say it. And if people don't like it, well, they let you know they don't like it. You'll get some hate speech back. That's how it was when you were before the internet. When I was a lad, you said something controversial that people didn't like. People would argue the point with you. They wouldn't stab you. They wouldn't, murder you. You'd have a debate. That doesn't happen anymore, does it? No, it doesn't. Not at all. Now, the far left, which we're getting towards more left now with Andy Burnham, they don't debate at all. Their way is the right way. Okay? And as far as they're concerned, you have no right to speak. And you're a right-wing terrorist if you don't agree with them, which means 80% of the country must be right-wing terrorists. That's another story. And also, like with kids now, the legislation such as children's well-being at schools bill expanded to specialise on online monitoring task forces. Now, I've noticed in the last couple of generations where, and I'm going to say this, and maybe you'll disagree, but I think most of the teaching staff and teachers and the curriculums are very left-leaning. They adhere to this woke situation. They adhere to children coming and saying, hello, sir, today I'm a dog, tomorrow I'm a cat, and next week I'll be in love with a tree, and I'm wearing a skirt because I'm a girl now. This ridiculous. I believe that schools should teach reading, writing, arithmetic, geography, British history, science, and physical education. Not about other countries and what they've done, making out that we are the big enemy of the world, that we've left our stains everywhere. Pride in the country. Every school should have a Union flag outside. Everybody should stand up in the morning and pledge allegiance to the country that's brought them up and paid for their education, their health, and making sure they don't fall through the loops. But no, the government prefer to pander to people coming in little rubber boats, give them hotels, pocket money, let them go around raping women. Not all of them, but a considerable amount of them, stealing out of shops. When I was a kid, nobody would dream of walking in and emptying the shelves of, the police would be down and they'd be giving you a slap round the chops, and you'd be in the court, and you'd probably go to Borstal. Borstal, you wouldn't want to look it up. So, again, changing the laws over kids, becoming a nanny state. What did they do? What does the ideology do? In accordance to what George Orwell says, nanny state. That's what it is. And also, even in your workplace banter restrictions, yes? Provisions within Employment Rights Bill have forced pushback for critics who argue they overly police routine social interactions at the workplace. Now, they have pushed it back, but they want, okay, I'm not into all this rubbish. I remember many years ago when nice ladies with respect, not badly, would walk past, and the builders up on the scaffold, it wasn't meant in a bad way then. Now it's been demonized, and the girls just go, oh, it was a bit of fun. Little things like that now become, oh, you can't do that. That's terrible, that is. There's no comedy. Everything that's funny is bad. Again, controlling what you say, what you speak, how you feel. And women in my day, when I was about 16 or 17, trying to get a girlfriend, they were harder than the men. You didn't get away with anything. You had to work to get a date in them days. Well, I don't know now what it's like, but hey, you know, it was all right. There was no rubbish that's going on today, and it needs stamping out. And you know, banter never hurt anybody. Rudeness got treated the same way as it does now. You know, people, hey, listen to that. That's not necessary. You don't need the government to tell you that. You know yourself it's wrong. Anyway, so workplace banter, eh? I'm all right. I can banter with myself because I know nobody works with me, right? And the provisions within the employment right bill have faced pushback from critics who argue that they overly police routine social interactions at and workplace boundaries. Well, I'm glad somebody's trying to push it back. Right, let's move on now, because now we want to look at other kinds of Big Brother is watching you, because Big Brother is watching you. And here he is, the new Big Brother, Andy Burnham. The Big Brother is watching you, because this is what it's all about. I mean, why I'm saying this is the expansion of surveillance. And human rights reports criticise the government for accelerating the state use of surveillance and technologies. And it's everywhere. You know, if you look at George Orwell's book, in 1984, they have it in your house as well. Will it ever go that far? I don't know. But digital identification U-turns, they have done so. While the government has briefly explored the controversial digital ID card, fierce public pushback later forced the policy shift, which all of a sudden, you know, Starmer said, okay, we're not going to do it. But now Burnham's come out to say today it's about the only things, oh, we're not going to do that. Well, we already know. That's not your decision, okay? He came out with absolute rubbish. He didn't. It was like, come by, my lord, come by. That is it, you know. Oh, it's a happy, feeling goodie. And if you watch the speech, anybody who hasn't seen him making his speech, when he's finished and he goes over and does all this to everybody, I think he must be in Buddha or something, I don't know. And he walks across to his wife, who's a blonde lady, as if he wants to bring her to the fore. And she basically blanks him. Have a look at that. I found that quite interesting, the fact he went to try and approach her, you know, to take her, like Starmer, all the rest, they bring the wife and kids, say, hello, you know, and off they go. No, she blanked him. She just stood still. And then he just went round like as if, oh, okay. Anyway, have a look at the video. Tell me if I saw the wrong thing. Send me have a look and send me something on, you know, at X or X, Best Before TV, or bestbeforetv@gmail.com. You can send it there. Or you can comment on Rumble, because there's a comments thing on there. I will put this video up on YouTube, but then, you know, there you go. It goes on YouTube. Where else does it go? It goes on Substacks. Well, whatever. But anyway, let's get into it, right, shall we? So he's been criticised over the U-turns, right? And while the government did briefly explore that controversial digital identity card, the fierce public did actually, you know, knock it back. But then online censorship, and we'll go back to that. The enforcement of the Online Safety Act has drawn international criticism for setting overly broad restrictions on regular internet communications. Now, okay, they've done the kid one, but they've been using that as well to enforce this hate speech thing in a different way by using that. But they've got this one. It's sad to think that this now is they can control you through your social media, that you will only say what they want you to say, and they're going to get powers to ban you from places. I mean, I big up Elon Musk for X, because at the moment, and for Rumble, of course, why I'm on Rumble is because they are great for freedom of speech, and that's why I recommend it. I do go on Facebook. Well, Facebook, they police you and they ban you and control you, which I don't like. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. Well, the subject is So international criticism are the way that they're clamping down on your freedom of speech and on all your communications. So that may mean later on they listen to your phone calls. If they'll have algorithms that listen to what you say, and if it doesn't sound right to the algorithm, you'll be monitored or something. You know, how much you spend on your bank card, where you go on holiday, how much you drink, what you eat. It's all getting too much for me. And it is for a lot of other people. So I think they're going closely to the edge of what they want. Now, like I say, Keir Starmer's done his job for the Fabians, and now it's Burnham's time to take it further. Will he call a general election? I don't think so, like I said, because there's too many of those MPs that will never get a seat back again. And they're like the 99,000 a year and expenses. Not bad, is it, for sitting on your backside and going to PMQs once a week? Not all of them. I can't tar them all with the same brush, because that goes on in everyone. But anyway, the thing is, I don't think he can run the government in a way that the British people want. Nothing about stopping the boats. I think he wants open borders anyway. I think he wants everybody to go back towards the EU. That's a big mistake. I live in Spain, and I can tell you that people here are also angry about the EU restrictions that they're getting and the laws that they are having imposed. For example, our socialist prime minister has just allowed 500,000 visas for people who've been here illegally or whatever for the last 3 months or so. That's a lot of people, isn't it? It's a big country, but still. Already in Barcelona, for certain places, there's areas where you can't go. Violence is high. And it's all over Europe. And I'm going off subject for a second, but what I'm saying is, once they're in, the socialists, they won't let go. They'll bend over and backwards to help anybody that will vote for them. And we all know whose vote they want. But they're going to get scuppered. They're definitely getting scuppered, because people are getting elected on Free Palestine, and they're getting elected to government or to councils where there's big populations of certain people. He'll want division. He wants to have, his other idea is have number 10 north, so he has to get out of bed and just nip down the road to an office somewhere up north, and he wants to divert all. So in communist times, they had areas controlled by a local person, and then the local person reported to, but the actual control, all the orders were passed down that way. It's the same, segregated, divide, conquer. Sector 5 is not doing as well as Sector 7. If you don't do it well, we'll cut your supply of bread and we'll give it to 7 as a reward. You know, it's far-fetched, but is it far-fetched? After what I've seen from when I was a kid to what I see now, I can't believe what the world's come to. I live in it, deal with it. It's not a happy place anymore. Anyway, so, you know, these civil liberties and policies combined with the economic challenges, which really are bad, fueled intense public is that the word? Dissatisfaction. Dissatisfied people. And this ultimately contributed to Labour's massive losses in the local elections, culminating in a leadership change. You know, it did. They were going to change the leader anyway to make them look a bit good, to give them another little bounce, a bit more popularity, when you know full well that Reform, if there was an election tomorrow, Reform would win it. I have a lot of time for Nigel Farage. The very sad loss of Anne Widdecombe. You know, this is what our country, a 79-year-old woman bludgeoned to death for her beliefs. Oh no, the police said, oh no, it's probably just a burglary gone wrong. Lie number 1. Oh no, it's got nothing to do with terrorism. Lie number 2. Okay, what's lie number 3? Oh, this man, what's his origin? Oh, he's British. Okay, is he British born, British descent, descended from somewhere else? I don't know. Is he a radical? Is he a terrorist? Was he on a watch list? Oh no, we don't give you that information. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully, it's the saddest day for me. I know I've been laughing about it, but it's a sad day for me because I really do believe, and I really believe, that the country is on a hiding to nothing. This man, as I say, he stood in one by-election, no mandate, and I don't think it's proper democracy. The man shouldn't be where he is today. That's my opinion. Yours might be different, but if it is different, if you want to comment on this video, you can do. Our socials are running along the bottom there. You can go to the TV station, which is basically the website, my original website. It's Best Before TV, www.bestbeforetv.com, and then you can also link to Rumble from there on the old Git page, because actually on the original Git. Best Before T is X, and Gmail, bestbeforetv@gmail.com. Get in touch with me or make some comments and let me know what you think. And don't forget, I need to buy some more equipment, and it is my birthday on the 20th. So you can go and leave me a tip or whatever. I don't ask for much in life right now, not now. But I want to carry on doing this as long as I can. My views are my views. I've lived a long time on this planet, and I've seen the ridiculous changes that have been made and the way that we're going down, down, down. It's awful. It's awful. But hey, if that's how it's to be, that's how it's to be. So until the next time, folks, stay safe. Stock up on everything. I don't know what's going to happen. But hey, what can I say? I cannot say. Until next time, I'll see you.